So, Robin. Amadi Ayinda, Steph. Amadi Ayinda. Will be a Munyezo. Will be a Munyezo. Thank you for staying with us. We're at this famous facility. It's the facility of the Federal Government Girls College here in Abuloma. It's in Rivers State here in Nigeria, where we have had a gathering of young people gathered across the public and private schools here in Rivers State. Of course, it's the 2012 Holiday Youth Camp meeting organized by the Ministry of Youth Development here in Rivers State. It's been a wonderful and a glorious 5 days of this with these young people, of course, with the officials of the Youth Development Ministry here in Rivers State. You can see them lined up behind me. They've been going through a series of teachings and series of people coming to counsel and teach them. Their lives, I can tell you, have been greatly impacted over these 5 days, and what they have got from here, I can tell you, is something that will lead them through and through even their lifetime while they're here on earth, just trying to shape up their lives and make them to be better people in the society. Any moment from now, I'll be joined by some of the officials of the ministry, and of course a select few of the students who've been participating in this program over these 5 days, and I hope you will enjoy. Don't go away, just stay there, we'll be right back. One of the officials of the youth ministry here in Rivers State, his name Mr. Moses Dick Isotu.
Thank you, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Moses Dick Isotu is the Director, Youth Education and Counseling at the Rivers State Ministry of Youth Development. Sir, I must congratulate you for the success of this 2012 Youth Camp meeting.
It's my pleasure.
So, sir, quickly, let's just get into it. And it's a holiday campaign 2012. I'm sure you had targets you set for yourselves and the ministry prior to organizing this camp meeting. Would you say you're satisfied with the outcome of the exercise?
Yes, I'm very, very satisfied in terms of the turnout, because the participants are drawn from various schools, private and public schools. So it's a wonderful thing for their parents and the principals of the respective schools to have released them. And during the brief period, with the level of interaction and all that, and the cooperation from the part of the students, I'm very satisfied.
Okay, I know it's not an easy feat actually to gather over 300 students in one facility. Could you share with us some of your challenges and experiences?
You can see they're all teenagers who come from various cultural backgrounds. Various hands have handled them in their schools and at home. So coming here to adjust to a situation where different hands are handling them is a different scenario entirely. So those are the challenges, to control them and have them properly seated to obtain lectures and participate effectively in the lecture presentation and follow up the ideals of whatever thing is being presented to them. So it's very challenging, and I thank my officials who are able to be on ground to effectively instill some level of discipline and cooperation on their part.
Okay, let's look at some of the objectives you set up for yourselves while you were coming to camp. And if you allow me to read, one of them is to instill discipline and moral rectitude in the participants. You know, this is 2012. We're talking about moral decadence and, of course, recalcitrant youth these days. How far would you say you have gone in actually achieving this particular objective?
Well, you must understand that human nature is dynamic. There's no way you can ram down anything down the throat of anybody to follow you hook, line, and sinker. In the first place, you have to understand that a human being has the right to think the way he has to think because of his level of consciousness. But no, so far as social interaction is concerned, and whatever thing we aim to achieve is concerned, is dynamic. It has no limit. So given the benefit that we've tried our level, it will be shown later in life, whatever thing they've learned out of here. The lecture topics are carefully chosen with capable hands to handle them so that whatever we conceive or conceptualize in life, as far as this program is concerned, will be properly imbibed by them.
Okay, sir. The other objective is actually to prepare the participants, talking about the young people, for future responsibilities by instilling in them good leadership. You know, one of the problems we have in this country, of course, is the problem of lack of good leaders. Would you say, looking back at the program, that you have hope in these young people to take up the mantle of leadership in this country?
Yes. The younger ones, the younger generation ought to be caught earlier in life. They need guidance. They need proper advice to be given as far as future rules are concerned. So don't just leave them up there. And that is why the Rivers State government is taking as a responsibility to ensure that they are all brought together to be taught on leadership roles and what responsibility that is expected of them in future. So it's not a question of just leaving them out there and assume they will learn anything. As adults, you must guide the younger ones properly. And that is why we are bringing them together, to remind them of the future rules. Of course, in Nigeria, we say generally there is a leadership problem. But if you look at it fundamentally, I want to think we have people's problem. Because the leaders, those who eventually become leader at whatever level of life, were originally people or ordinary people in the streets. So if the people are not properly guided, of course, when they assume responsibilities as leaders, they will equally fail. So you have obviously to lay a foundation to have well-groomed people, well-disciplined, with correct mental attitude to public issues and individual or whatever level they may find themselves. If you get them properly guided and everybody has the proper moral rectitude or attitude to issues, any moment they become leaders to hold future responsibility, of course, they will key in and properly behave. So we have people problem and not people's problem and not leadership problem. Because you must be a good follower to be a good leader. So that is why we are starting somewhere to guide these people properly, so that in future there will be hope for Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That's well said. Before I let you go, as these students are leaving this facility, I know that 5 days not enough to actually instill into a young person all that he needs to make it in life. So what would be your advice to these young people as they hit back their different communities in Rivers State?
Well, we've said a lot, that as future leaders they are beacons of light. And as beacons of light, much is expected from them. They have to be exemplary from whatever thing they've learned here. It should be practiced, put into practice. And so we expect much from them. And as they get back home, naturally there will have been, as far as the nature of this work is concerned, there should have been a follow-up to monitor them in their schools and keep track of whatever activities they are going to do, because it's an experimental thing to see that you are grooming a class of leader. You must see how they finally landed in their schools or even in the various organizations they are coming from. So we need to follow it up. But because of inadequacy of resources, that angle is not overlooked, but we still hope we have to follow it up to monitor the activities and see how well they've adjusted, haven't learned or passed through us here.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Moses Dick Isotu. He's the Director, Youth Education and Counseling. And of course, you will agree with me, there is hope for the Nigerian youth. There is hope for the youth from here in Rivers State. And after these 5 days, we expect that we've raised leaders of some sort from this facility. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still at this famous facility of the Federal Government Girls College in Abloma here in Port Harcourt, River State of Nigeria, where the Ministry of Youth Development in River State hosted the 2012 Holiday Youth Camp meeting. And the students, I can tell you, they have had a very wonderful time, and they have been flagged now by two of the fortunate students who have been part of this program, and they will now share their experiences. Gentlemen, you are welcome to the show.
I am Ahia Kofa.
Okay, and you? Amadi Inda. So let me start with you, Patrick. You have been here for 5 days, and I'm sure your life has been greatly impacted.
Yes.
Can you share with me what actually caught your attention most while you were here in the camp?
Yes. It's a lecture delivered by Dr. Ken Casas on the topic how to study. Because it's been noted that students don't usually study. They only study when they are preparing for their exam. So he shed more light on how to study in order to improve in your academics, not only to pass your exam, but for you to know what you're doing. He presented to us the MIRS chart, in which you can sit down for 6 hours with non-stop reading. You can just sit down and read for a good 6 hours without stopping. And also, in this camp we've been, Dr. Kenkadas has showed us that it's not just reading, but studying. You can study and also read at the same time, because while reading, that's when you study. When you study, studying means reading and reading and reading, even if you're not understanding. But continuous reading, you kind of get what you're studying.
Okay, so before now, you used to read just to pass examinations, but now you're studying for life. So what do you have to say to the River State Ministry of Youth Development?
I would like to say a big thank you to River State Youth Development, because they have developed the youth, not just in the aspect of reading, but in all aspects, because we did not just have lectures on reading, but we had other lectures in which my colleagues are going to share their experiences.
Thank you, Ahia Patrick. So let's get to you, Enyinda Amadi. You have been in camp. I'm sure maybe this is your first time of actually being in an enclosed facility where your movements, were restricted. So tell us, how did this camp meeting impact on your life?
What really impacted me most in the activities of the camp. Like, I was kind of used to it, but I schooled in the boarding school, so the system was kind of familiar with it. Like, we waking up by 5, going out for our morning prayers. After the morning prayers, we'll do some exercise and do our nerves and body. And after that, we can go back to our hostel, take our break, despite the fact we're being given cold water today, food and all that things. But we still have to manage it. Started dating, we come out and have our breakfast. Early at 6:30, by 7 o'clock, we should be done with that. We'll go to the hall for our first lecture. After the lecture, we'll have about 3 lectures till 3 o'clock. Then by 3 o'clock, we'll go to our hostel and rest till 4. By 4, we'll come out for our break. Starting our break, maybe by 10 minutes to 6. Then we'll have to go back to our hostel by the main organization. We can prepare for our evening dinner and evening. So that was a little bit of how the camp has been, despite the fact that the days there were no other serious with it. Like the students, the girls.
So what would you say? What would you say those things? How would you say those things impacted? What advantages are you taking from this camp today?
Like, I took out many things from the camp, especially in the aspect of trying to associate with others. Like, when you come here, you meet different people with different kinds of things. So they were also taught on how to, like,